Hey guys, welcome back to Your Lake Fork Guide. Welcome back to another episode of the Guides Network, where we come to you each and every week, bringing you a new topic, a new technique, a new discussion, going in depth, more in depth than you find just about anywhere else in the world of bass fishing, to try and help you catch more and bigger fish. Hey, it's the dog days of summer now. It's hot. A little pink going on. It's hot out here. I'm just telling y'all. We're right at the end of July now, just a few more days left in July. And when you get to that time of year in the state of Texas, things can get a little tough. A lot of people like to go out deep. I like deep fishing too. I love throwing old big perm. It says it right on the back of my t-shirt today. There are other options though. If you can find a little bit of vegetation with a little bit of depth on it, you can catch some really big fish. And when it comes to getting fish to react when they don't want to react, to bite when they don't want to bite, in my opinion, there is no better bait in grass than a chatterbait. So today we're going to break it down. So let's get started right off with equipment. Let's talk about the chatterbait that we're using first. We are using the Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait. I actually like to use a 1/2 ounce. If I'm fishing really shallower grass, I will use 3/8. Most of the time in the summer, I want that bait to get down in the grass. So most of the time in the summer, I am going to use the 1/2 ounce. I want to fish deeper edges, and I want the bait to go into the grass, and I want to violently rip it out. We'll get into that more just a little bit. So a 1/2 ounce Z-Man jackhammer. I like to throw an impact shad. This one's a little torn up from getting ripped and chewed on and all that, but impact shad for the trailer. It has a very tight, fast kick, very fast kick, which I think in the summertime does get me more bites. I catch them better in the summertime on this trailer than any other trailer, hands down. The impact shad. Now, a couple different colors that I throw in the summer. I'm either trying to imitate a shad or a bluegill or brim. So there's kind of two colors that I go with to do that. One is this kind of gray shad color. It's got the gray skirt on the top, the white on the bottom, and I throw the smoke on the shad, impact shad color for the trailer. The other one is Bee Height Delight, and I just don't think there's a much better brim imitator than Bee Height Delight. It's kind of one of the ugliest looking colors you'll ever see. Boy, does it get bit. It's got a green pumpkin back, chartreuse and white bottom, and I actually throw the Houdini impact shad, which doesn't match any of that, but I put a little chartreuse on the tail to match that belly. And guys, I know that's an ugly bait right there, but I don't know how well it'll show up. But if you can see the teeth marks, it catch this goofy looking color catches me a whole lot of fish. It's my #1 pick for this hot summertime chatterbait deal. Now when we get into equipment, things are going to change up a little bit. You know, from the wintertime to the summertime, I totally change out the equipment that I use. In the wintertime, I want to fish this chatterbait as slow as possible, and I don't want it to get bogged down in the grass. I want it, as soon as I snap it, I want it to come out of that grass as easy as possible in the wintertime. I don't want big violent rips out of grass at that time of year. So that time of year, I'll use a little bit bigger rod. I will use a little bit bigger rod. I will use braid. Whereas this time of year, you know what, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain it. So what I'm using this time of year is this is actually a new rod. This is a rod that's coming out soon, but you can get this size model in the other models from 6 Sense as well, in the Century series and the Lux series. This is a 7.5 medium heavy with a moderate tip. See that tip behind me? See that? See that tip bending up? Hopefully that shows up. That's the deal. I want a rod that's got a ton of meat down here but has a ton of tip on the end. That's the perfect chatterbait rod, really in all times of year except the winter, spring, summer, and fall. Really important in the summer though, and we're going to talk about why here in just a minute. For the reel, I'm using a Lew's Tournament MB. This is a 6.8 to 1 gear ratio reel, so almost a 7. You could have it over like a 7.3, 7.5 to 1. I like a higher speed reel. We're going to talk about the retrieve. Like, there's a lot of unique, this is a very unique retrieve that we're doing during summertime. So be sure that you stay tuned at least till you hear the part about the retrieve. But that's the Lew's Tournament MB, $130, guys. You will not find a finer casting, more durable, better, lighter reel for $130 on the market than the Tournament MB from Lew's. Online, we're using 20-pound fluorocarbon. That seems a little heavy. It is. Again, stay tuned for the retrieve part. That's the setup. Okay, area, this is important. This is the most important part. If you saw Monday's video, we talked about it a little bit. I like to find vegetation and with at least 4 or 5 foot of water on it. I like to find it where it kind of spreads out across the middle of the creek. Where I'm sitting right here, I'm out in the middle of the creek. I'm towards the back of it. You can't see it, it's right behind me, but I want to find where that grass spreads out across that creek, and I want to find those ditches and drains that go through there that cause that grass to scatter and not be as matted up or as thick growing to the top, where I can get this chatterbait in there effectively, let it get down in the grass, rip it out, let it, all that stuff. So really the key area is 4 to 5 foot of water on the outside edge of the grass. Find the ditches and drains where the grass scatters all the way across the creek, and find those ditches and drains where it causes that grass to scatter within those. And those are the areas that you're looking for in the summertime that I use this technique on. All right, now let's get up and talk about the retrieve. This is the big deal because this is different. This is a different deal. I don't fish chatterbait like this any other time of year. It's the only time of year I fish it like this, so pay attention to this retrieve. So we've got our scattered grass flat here. We've got our deep edge. Our deep edge is right out in front of us. We've got a little bit of a drain kind of running out here to our right. So we're gonna throw this bait out there. Now, the first thing that I'm gonna tell you is when you first throw it in there, you gotta slow down. You want this bait to get snagged in that grass and you want to violently rip it. That's gonna get your reaction bites. So we're gonna make our cast out there. We'll go real slow at first. We're gonna hold our rod right straight out in front of us, maybe slightly up. What that's gonna do is give us leverage for this. See how violently I ripped that right there? That bait hits the grass and I just rip it out as hard as I can. So sometimes I'll grab it with 2 hands to rip it. It is an overly violent deal. And then if you've got the grass at the right height, the faster you can reel it, the better. This is a speed, reaction driven bite. Summertime, bait's moving fast, bass are moving fast, we're moving fast, and we're ripping it violently out of that grass to get their attention and make them come react to it, chase it down and eat it. That's what we're trying to do. So slow down a little bit till we feel some grass. There's some grass, rip it again. There it is. Keep it coming, rip it again. Violently, just like that. Now, this is where this setup comes in, because you're probably thinking, well, Billy, if you use a little bit heavier rod and braid, you wouldn't have to rip it so violently, you get the same deal. You wouldn't be working yourself to death. Well, the problem with that, guys, is when you're moving that bait that fast and you're ripping it like that real hard, when that fish hits it, they smoke it a lot of times. They'll actually hit it. And you're gonna want to set the hook. You're gonna just have a reaction because you're fishing so fast, you're snatching out of that grass. You're gonna swing that rod. Well, if you do that with braid, you're gonna miss most of the fish that bite. You're gonna blow their mouth open and not hook them up. So this rod with this tip and having this fluorocarbon line on here, which has more stretch than braid, is the most important part of this technique right here for summertime chatterbaiting. We do use the 20-pound fluorocarbon because, as you can see, we're throwing it into some nasty, heavy, grassy stuff. And we are really putting that line to the test because we are ripping it violent rips. So you gotta have that 20-pound fluorocarbon. I would also suggest every time you catch a couple, 3 fish, you might want to retie, because that knot's getting a lot of stress put on your knot, ripping it out of the grass like that. Man, this technique works so good, and it catches so many fish that just won't bite otherwise. It just gets them to react, gets a fish that won't bite anything else. In the hot dog days of summer, he's just laying around in that grass bed on the deep edge of it, and he's not going to chase anything down. He's just sitting there waiting on something. But boy, when that thing jumps in front of his face that hard, he can't help but lunge out at it and go ahead and take a swipe at it, and that's when you got him.
Perfect, 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 perfect.
Well, hey, there's you some catches from that hot summertime chatterbait bites. This is a bite that I depend on every year. When we get to the dog days and those offshore fish start getting beat to death and start kind of scattering back out and suspending, they get a little harder to catch. I know that I can always go back to these grass flats, and I can always depend on this hyper violent chatterbait technique that I do every summer to put some key bites in the boat day in and day out. It's a total reaction bite. They can't help it, so it's really an everyday thing. Some days are better than others, but you can always go get some good bites on it, it seems like, for me. So hey guys, the equipment's very important. Go out and get the right equipment. Okay, get the 20-pound fluorocarbon, get the rod that has the tip, right? Get the rod that has this, get you a high-speed reel. I recommend the Lew's. And go get after these summertime grass fish that really kind of get not messed with near as much as others do. These days, with the advances in electronics, most people want to fish deep in the summertime. You can get back in that grass flat, you go to work on them. Sometimes you might have them all to yourself. So try this technique, man. I hope it catches you guys a bunch more fish. Hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching your Lake Fork Guide today. We certainly hope that this instructional helps you catch more and bigger fish. Hey, do us a favor, go see our fine sponsor, 6centsfishing.com. They're linked below as always. If you go order anything from 6 Cents Fishing, including some of those bad to the bone rods they got, be sure you punch in the code, your Lake Fork Guide. You'll get a 10% discount on all orders. Hey, if you need anything from us, if you want to book a trip for Lake Fork, you want to pick up some amphibia eye gear, maybe you just need a big perm t-shirt, right? Go over there to yourlakeforkguide.com. We'll get you fixed up. Hey, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching once again, and we'll see you next time right here on Your Lake Fork Guide.